Hello everyone, here is our Group 7 presentation. The emergency scenario we choose is bushfire. So what is bushfire? Bushfire are fires that consume vegetation. They are uncontrolled, fast-spreading flames that are also known as wildfires or forest fire and often occur in heavily vegetated wilderness regions like woods, meadows, and brushy places. These fires are distinguished by their propensity to spread rapidly, which is fueled by elements including wind, dry foliage, hot temperatures, low humidity, and dry vegetation. These flames are erratic and challenging to put out. Burning bushland may be exceedingly harmful, endangering both the environment and human lives. Areas with hot, dry weather, including Australia, Greece, Africa, and some portions of the United States, are particularly prone to these fires. According to the graph A, lightning are responsible for around 24% of the fires, followed by human causes such as intentional arson, which is 23%, and bonfires 17%. So related to graph B, lightning was the primary source of fires, accounting for 45% of total burn area, followed by careless usage of public property, which is 14%, intentional arson 13%, and agricultural reasons.
It is the seventh largest town in the Northern Territory and is located on the Statue Highway, just south of the intersection with the western terminus of the Berkeley Highway. The town is approximately 1,000 kilometers south of the capital of the Northern Territory, Darwin, and 5 kilometers north of the Alice Springs.
As of the 2021 census, Tennant Creek had a population of 3,080 people, and 55.4% of them identify as Aboriginal. In the context of the Northern Territory, where Aboriginal culture is deeply rooted, the figure far exceeds the regional average of 26.3%. It emphasized the vital importance of respecting Aboriginal culture during the design process. Also, we can see that Tennant Creek is home to about 9 Aboriginal groups, such as the Wurundjeri, Warlpiri, Kaitaya, and Alyawarra. The Wurundjeri people hold the traditional ownership of this region, as indicated promptly by the chart. It's vital to acknowledge that these distinct Aboriginal groups have varied cultures and languages, which can pose potential challenges in our design efforts.
Tennant Creek experiences a hot desert climate. Summers are extremely hot, with temperatures are often exceeding degrees Celsius 40 during the day. Winters are milder, but still warm during the day, with cooler nights. Rainfall is generally low. Most of the rain falls between November and March, but even then it's relatively scarce. Dust storms are common, especially during the dry season. Inhabitants may face challenges related to extreme heat, sun exposure, and occasional heavy rainfall. Tennant Creek is a town and offers basic facilities such as supermarkets, restaurants, gas stations, medical centers, and schools. However, being a relatively small community, the range of available facilities is somewhat limited. The area features typical arid landscapes, including red desert and wilderness areas. The site may host native desert plants and wildlife like kangaroos, reptiles, and a lot of kinds of bird species. Design should respect and protect the existing flora and fauna, using native landscaping and minimizing disruption to their habitats. Tennant Creek is prone to rare weather events like cloud and flash floods, and it can also experience bushfires. Design should incorporate disaster resistant materials, evacuation routes, and fire-resistant landscaping to mitigate these dangers. Security measures should be integrated to address potential risks related to human violence.
On September 6, 2023, the Tana Creek wildfire broke out. As it expanded, the authority implemented several efforts to put out the fire. To combat the ferocious fire threatening the town of Tana Creek in the Northern Territory, teams of South Australia Country Fire Service employees and volunteers were sent there. On September 12, 2023, the bushfire spread to a larger than 9,300 square kilometers. The Tana Creek bushfire at Battery Hill was being extinguished by the water bombers, as shown in the second picture. Firefighters set up containment lines along the river and south of outlying villages on September 16th to nip the fire, which has scorched an area of nearly 10,000 square kilometers. The alert level for the fire was reduced from watch and action to advisory. On September 15th, 5 times of the size of the capital territory has been consumed by the 150 kilometers long fire.
Aboriginal peoples hold distinct cultural values that set them apart from other ethnic groups. These differences could be significant points for our attention in the context of bushfire emergency responses. First, there is a profound connection to their country, a term often used by Aboriginal peoples to describe their deep connections to the land, waters, and seas. Country isn't merely a physical place, and it carries profound spiritual and cultural significance, which is central to their spiritual identity. Their strong connection to the land may lead to reluctance to evacuate, even when immediate danger is present. Aboriginal society is deeply rooted in complex kinship systems and strong community bonds. These systems create social networks through blood and marriage connections, allowing family ties to persist across generations. These extended family networks, which include family caregiving and visits, contributes to overcrowding in housing. This not only affects their living conditions but also complicates the evacuation process during bushfires. Additionally, certain cultural taboos, like the prohibition of talking between a man and his mother-in-law, require careful consideration when designing evacuation shelters. Languages is another crucial aspect that demands our attention. As previously mentioned, Tana Creek is home to 9 distinct Aboriginal peoples, each with their own unique languages. This can make it difficult to effectively communicate central information, including fire alarms. Also, in these communities, oral traditions are prevalent, and children learn from their elders, some of whom may not be fluent in English. This complicates the task of educating people about fire safety and organizing fire evacuation within an English-speaking context. One crucial aspect we shouldn't overlook is the cultural practice of controlled burning among Aboriginal communities. For thousands of years, Aboriginal people have used fire for hunting, ecosystem maintenance, and land management. However, this practice has been restricted since the arrival of early settlers, preventing them from continuing their traditions. At the same time, fire serves as a connection between indigenous people and their land. However, as fire shifts from a spiritual symbol to a cause of displacement from their homes, the preservation of tradition and the path of recovery emerge as significant concerns. There are also several ongoing system issues in Tana Creek affecting its residents, especially First Nations people. As bushfires draw near, timely alerts and awareness are crucial. With only one public Wi-Fi access point available at the library in Tana Creek and limited adoption of NBN service by First Nations households, the lack of access to essential data and information technology can result in delayed or unnoticed information. This reduces the preparation time and hampers the ability to respond promptly when a bushfire approaches. Housing is a significant challenge facing Aboriginal people. The chronic issues with access to water and electricity in social and affordable housing, where many Aboriginal individuals live, can worsen the difficulties in caring for vulnerable individuals during bushfires. This includes children, elders, and people with disabilities. Additionally, the team-made houses they often occupy are not as sturdy or protective as those in urban areas, which is quite apparent. With only one hospital in Tano Creek, the risk of inadequate health care during bushfires is a concern. Vulnerable patients, such as pregnant women, are required to travel 500 kilometers to Alice Springs to give birth, and chronic asthma issues, the second most prevalent long-term health condition in Tano Creek, can worsen due to air pollution caused by dust and ash from bushfires. Transportation is another challenge. The town has only 2 highways nearby, and during a fire emergency, the highways could be closed, disrupting food supply chains and evacuation routes. Additionally, due to the high cost of fuel, many residents in this area do not own cars, making evacuation a difficult task for them. Following a bushfire, the psychological trauma and increased depression often contributes to domestic violence. These situations are heavily concentrated in the Aboriginal population of the town, since they have high rates of alcohol abuse. Crisis accommodation has not been able to meet the demand, such as the Tano Creek Women's Refuge.
Okay, so frameworks. Based on the research study, I've categorized the framework into 3 categories: modeling management, planning system, and evaluation analysis. So the first category, modeling and management, fire behavior modeling, to comprehend how flames behave in various situations. This framework uses mathematical and scientific models. Experts can make forecasts and create containment and control tactics by modeling the spread, intensity, and behavior of flames. Crisis and emergency management model. These approaches give equal attention to preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation during all stages of disaster management. They offer a methodical way to handle wildfire crises. Adaptive management. This methodology acknowledges the dynamic and unpredictable character of bushfires and promotes ongoing learning and strategies change based on monitoring and feedback. The second category is planning system, climate change and resilience planning. A paradigm that takes climate adaptation and resilience into account is crucial for long-term planning. Given the influence of climate change on the frequency and intensity of bushfires. Fire ecology and fire regrams. Ecology of fire is the study of how fire affects the wide ecosystem. Controlled burning to minimize fuel loss is one management strategy that can be informed by an understanding of the natural role of fire. So the third category is the evaluation analysis, risk assessment, and hazard analysis. Frameworks for risk assessment assist in identifying sensitive region and evaluating the possibility and possible consequence of bushfire. This methodology heavily relies on the geographic informed system, which is called GIS, and data-driven research. Interdisciplinary and integrated approach. Collaboration between specialists from other disciplines such as methodology, ecology, sociology is frequently necessary for bushfire control. To get the comprehensive answer, it is essential to combine information from several areas. So this page is talk about the methodology. So I've made it into 2 parts. The first one is the analysis and summary. The analysis involves examining the spatial distribution of fire-prone areas, vulnerable populations, and critical infrastructure. This helps to identify high-priority areas for intervention and resources allocation. Analyzing historical data from past bushfire events helps research and practitioners understand patterns, trends, and the effectiveness of the past management strategies. Historical experience can provide guidance for future solutions. So the second is remote sensing and technology. Advanced technology are employed to track fires, whether in environmental elements such as photography, drones, and remote sensors. These technologies data can serve as a foundation for decision making. So this page is talking about the best precedent. So the first area is the industrial design, which has been modified to incorporate best practices and insights from numerous industries that can lower the danger of the bushfire in industrial setting to put out one before they spread, equip industrial buildings with automated sprinkler system, design industrial sites with fire breaks, fire-resistant landscaping, including removing vegetation to provide a defensible gap between buildings and vegetation. There have been many examples of preventing or addressing bushfire in the fields of architecture design, such as pitch or butterfly roof design that help to prevent the buildup of debris and fly ash and reduce the risk of roof fire. Use fire-resistant material on roofs, facades, and exterior walls. Examples include the use of metal roofs, fiber cement, facades, and fire-resistant glass. Interaction design, which frequently combines user experience and digital interface, may help to inform and educate the public about bushfire safety and prevention. The ability to create interactive website and mobile applications that deliver real-time data on the risk of the bushfire, including fire danger rating, weather forecast, and emergency warning, is already possible. Governments will develop interactive multimedia campaigns such as infographics, movies, and animation to promote awareness of the hazard of bushfire and protective action.